Okay, so we are going to start our printmaking project using a piece of linoleum, which the stuff we use is not actually linoleum, but it's a style of linoleum, so we call it that. If you are doing the research paper instead, you can skip this entirely and go on to what you're doing. So you're gonna start by doing some sketches. If you're on site, I've given you a block to trace so that you can get your sketches the right side. If you're off site, just know that it's 6 inches by 4 inches, should be roughly that. It might be like a tiny little bit off. But if you're on site, you'll just trace it. If you are off site, just use your ruler and measure 4 by 6. So you want 4 sections. And this is gonna be our process for sketches for the rest of the semester. Whereas first semester, there wasn't a ton of sketching to be done because like, for the most part, I told you like you're gonna do a portrait. So you didn't really have to like sketch out ideas for that. Like you just had to pick somebody to draw. And then you did like little tiny thumbnail sketches for your cities and stuff like that. But for most of the projects moving on, I'll be giving you something pretty broad, like we're gonna do linoleum printmaking and you can kind of make whatever you want. And so from here on out, you will always do 4 sketches of what you're going to do before you do it. So for the linoleum one, you're tracing this. When we move forward, you know, it's fine if you just want to kind of like divide your paper like that and do 4 sketches that way, whatever. The linoleum ones are just kind of like a specific size. And it will make it easier for you if your sketch is the same size as your linoleum block because we will transfer them. So you're gonna do 4 sketches like this, or if you want to, you can turn them and do them this way. I don't care if they are horizontal or vertical, it doesn't matter to me. But you're gonna do 4 sketches. I don't care if it is 4 completely separate ideas. Like if you wanna sketch a bird here and an ocean here and a lighthouse here and a mountain range here, that's totally fine. But if you've already decided you wanna do a bird, you can sketch 4 different birds, or you can sketch the same bird in 4 different poses. So it doesn't matter to me if they are extremely different or only slightly different, but I don't want them to be exactly the same. I don't want you to sketch the same bird in the same pose 4 different times. Like maybe one time you have the bird facing this way, one time you have it face on, one time you have it in flight, one time you have it sitting on a nest, something like that. So it needs to be 4 different sketches, even if there are only like small changes between the sketches. Then you will upload a photo of this to the Google Slides, similar to what we have done before, where we did a critique on like things to fix. Now we'll do not necessarily a critique, but people will provide input on which sketch they personally like. Back when we used to do this, when everybody was on site before there was a pandemic, we would go around and we would put like little stars by whichever sketch we thought was the best. But for now, we'll just do it on Google Slides. You'll see the instructions whenever you get there. So that's how you do your sketches. Your sketches don't have to be perfect. They can just be pretty basic, but they need to be enough that somebody looking at it understands what you're doing. So if you're just like that may mean something to you, but it doesn't mean something to me. So they don't have to be a finished piece of art by any stretch of the imagination. But it does need to be something that people can look at and understand what it is. Specifically with the linoleum sketches, I'm just gonna sketch something super simple. I'm just gonna sketch like a flower. So I'm gonna do just like a little cartoon kid style flower. Okay, so if this was your sketch, don't make this your sketch. This would be a terrible print. But if this was your sketch, I also kind of need to know which things you're planning on being white and which things you're planning on being black. So this is exactly like the scratch board in that you have what is basically a black surface, even though the surface is gray right now. If you were to get a roller and roll ink onto it and then stamp it, it would be black. So everything you carve away, just like with the scratch boards, becomes white. So you can't carve away all of this and all of this and all of this and all of this and just leave these tiny black lines. Like that won't work. So you have to decide which shapes are gonna be black and which shapes are gonna be white. So if I was doing this one, I might say, like I think I'm gonna leave the stem white and then I'm gonna color this black. So I'm not actually gonna color it in, but I'm just gonna kind of like shade like this to sort of like, so to remind myself more than anything. And then so if this is black, then this would have to be white because if it was black, it wouldn't show up. So then this will be black as well. So it kind of makes a guide for me in the future so I remember what to carve, and it allows other people to kind of like see where my thought process is so they know what to vote on. So this is how I want you to do your sketches. You are going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, and then when you get to the Google Slides, you will paste a photo just like this with it laid out just like this, and then you'll follow the instructions there, but I'll show you how I want you to go look at everybody else's and vote on which of their 4 they should do. Once you see those results, if this one gets 12 votes and this one only gets 2, but you really, really, really like this one, you can keep going with this one. You don't have to go with the one that got the most votes. But if you really liked this one and it only got 2 votes, you might start asking yourself why. It may either be not as good of an idea as you thought, or it may be that people looked at it and thought, well, they're not going to be able to do that because they don't have the areas marked black and white. Or they may have thought, I don't really understand what that's supposed to mean, so I'm just going to go with the one that I understand. So like if one you really like doesn't get a lot of votes, maybe consider changing it a little bit, or even talking to some of the people around you or talking to me and saying, hey, what do you think I could do? I really like the idea of this one, but not very many people voted for it. What do you think I could do to make it a little bit stronger so that it would be a better design? So if you want to do that, that's totally fine. If one of them got 0 votes and that's the one you want to do, you can do it without changing a thing if that's what you want to do. But ask yourself, if a lot of people thought this isn't going to work, why is this not going to work, before you just do whatever you want to and move on with it. But if you have any questions about it, let me know and I'll be happy to help you.